In this video, I want to talk about developing an entrepreneur's mindset, because the way that entrepreneurs think is often very different from the way that ordinary working people think. A lot of people say that entrepreneurs have a different attitude, and it's true, but it's not just attitude. You need to have the right attitude. So let's take a look at some of these character traits that many entrepreneurs share. Well, one character trait that many entrepreneurs share is curiosity. They're curious about the world around them. They like to look at things. They like to see how things could be done differently. And they tend to be very curious people. They tend to have a wide range of interests. The next character trait is decisiveness. They're not afraid of making decisions. They'll weigh up the pros and cons, and then they'll go in and they'll make the decision and they'll stand by it, right or wrong. They don't shilly-shally and think, shall I, shan't I, do I, don't I. No, they'll make the decision and then they'll stick by it. Another entrepreneurial trait is fearlessness. Sometimes they have to make a real leap of faith, but once they've decided, they'll do it. Like the title of the book says, they'll feel the fear but do it anyway. And that is another character trait that many entrepreneurs share. Then there's risk taking. Most entrepreneurs are not afraid to take a risk, and they enjoy the adrenaline buzz of taking a risk. Lots of entrepreneurs play poker for high stakes because that's the thing that they enjoy. That's what makes them want to get up in the morning, is the fact that they can take a risk, that they can take a gamble, and if they've calculated the risk properly, then it'll come off. If they haven't, if it goes wrong, well, they're prepared to take the consequences as well. And that's something that a lot of people who are used to having a steady job with a guaranteed income find very difficult when it comes to becoming a business owner or becoming an entrepreneur. Then they tend to be imperfectionists. They don't wait until everything is absolutely perfect before launching a new business or launching a new product, because they know that once the time is right, then you've got to get it out to the market or somebody else is going to beat you to it. So they don't wait until everything is absolutely perfect. As soon as something is good enough, then they will get it out to the market, and they will then move on to the next product or on to the next business. And finally, they work with ruthless efficiency. There's no room for sentiment in business as far as they're concerned. Their main objective is a healthy bottom line, and if that means that they can get something done cheaper or better somewhere else, then that's what they're going to do. And that is another characteristic that makes entrepreneurs, well, it makes some entrepreneurs rather unpopular, but it does make them very popular with shareholders and people like that. Another entrepreneurial character trait is perseverance. And as it says here from dictionary.com, perseverance is a steady persistence in a course of action, a purpose, a state, and so on, especially in spite of difficulties, obstacles, or discouragement. And this is something else. Entrepreneurs don't give up. They carry on. They carry on until they meet their objective. And that is something else that sets them apart from ordinary working people. And another entrepreneurial trait, and this is why they're so curious, is they know that anything can be made into a business. You can take anything and you can turn it around into a business to make money. And that is something else that sets entrepreneurs apart from ordinary working people. Let me give you a few examples of people who've done this. And the first example here is Mark Zuckerberg. And Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook while he was still a student. In fact, he started Facebook as a way of rating girls. He'd have pictures of different girls, and people would be invited to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. But of course he didn't have very many pictures of girls, or so the story goes anyway. So he hacked into some of the computers at Harvard University in order to get hold of these pictures so that he could have them on his website. And he got into serious trouble because of it, although the charges were later dropped. And he turned it into a full-time business, and now it's worth mega money. And of course you can find Mr. Zuckerberg's website here at facebook.com. Let me show you another example. The second example is Carol Middleton, and she runs a business called Party Pieces, which makes party bags for children. They do other things as well now, but they started out making party bags for children. She's got 3 children, and when they were small, she was giving a party and she found it very hard to track down all the party favors and all the other things that you have for kids at kids' parties. And so she started this business at her kitchen table because she thought, if it's difficult for me to find all these things, there must be other parents who give parties for their children who find it hard to track all this stuff down as well. And she started the business offline. It was mail order, and then they went online, and now most of their business comes from their website. And the business made so much money that her husband was able to quit his job and join the business full time. And this is the Middleton's website, partypieces.co.uk, and it's a fairly ordinary shopping cart type of website. Because it's a privately held business, nobody really knows what the turnover is, but it's estimated to be a good 7 figures every year. And I'm sure there are lots of other sites on the internet that turn over a similar amount of money and are run by people that you never hear of because they stay pretty much under the radar. In fact, I'm sure the Middletons would have stayed very much under the radar were it not for the fact that their eldest daughter, Catherine, known as Kate, married Prince William of the United Kingdom. One more example to show you. And our final case study is Sir Richard Branson, who is perhaps one of the world's best known entrepreneurs. And he started his first business while he was still a teenager. In fact, so the story goes, he actually started 2 businesses, one breeding budgerigars and another selling Christmas trees, and they both went out of business. And he started his 3rd business, which was a magazine, while he was still at school, while he was still at high school. And now his Virgin Group has more than 400 different companies worldwide. And they operate in all sorts of different industries, music, airlines, finance, and a whole lot more. And you can see here on the Wikipedia page for the Virgin Group, it lists all the different companies that they've had over the years and all the different subsidiaries here, and so on. And another character trait of most entrepreneurs, something that most entrepreneurs know, is that you have to work smarter, not harder. And they also know that pay is not the result of work. You know, most people who have a job, they work out how much they should be paid, so much an hour, so much a day, so much a week, and it all adds up to a certain amount every year. Well, entrepreneurs don't look at it that way. They know that pay is not the result of work, that the amount of money that they make is the result of the decisions that they make. And the amount of time that it takes to do that is completely irrelevant. It's what the decision is and how things work out. And this is another thing that is very difficult for most people to grasp, because for a long time, people are told you have to work at a job and you get paid for the result of the time that you put in. Another thing that entrepreneurs know is that you don't try and do everything yourself. Think about it. Richard Branson's got 400 companies employing goodness knows how many people. He couldn't possibly do every single job himself. But of course, when you are someone who works at a job, perhaps it's not a management job, perhaps it's just an ordinary working type job, then you try and do everything yourself because that's what you've been paid to do. So, of course, entrepreneurs know that they have to outsource, and this can either be to other people, or it can be to other companies. And people outsource things all the time. You've outsourced stuff. Every time you put a stamp on a letter and put it in the mail, you're outsourcing the delivery of that letter to the post office for the price of a stamp. So the other thing they try and do is hire employees to work in the business and hire executives to run your business for you. That's something else that's very important when you're an entrepreneur, because you can't do everything, you can't know everything. So you have to hire people who know how to do what you don't. But at the end of the day, being an entrepreneur, the sort of mindset means that they know that it's all down to you. You have to make the decisions, you have to have the vision and the drive. And that is what sets entrepreneurs apart from other people. So ask yourself, have you got what it takes to be an entrepreneur?